Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Club Lorcana podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertaglioni. With me, as always, Syed.
Hello, hello.
And we got a lot to talk about. I mean, let's just get right into it. We like to start this podcast with like a glimpse into the metagame. For the competitive player, I need to know what to play. So we got a cool deck list dump. The Cross Continentals deck lists have arrived. For those of you who don't know, Pavel Kolev is doing a Cross Continentals, the best players from USA versus the best players from EU. And we just got all of their deck lists. So, Zan, let's talk about it. What's the meta look like?
So I'm the captain of NA, if you guys didn't know that. So the metagame looks like, so in terms of NA, 2 green steel.
Yep.
Two amber steel.
2 amber steel.
And what else?
Is there any red blue?
I know Sailor's playing red blue.
Yep.
And then I know RMB is playing blue steel.
And we have, it looks like Jonathan Lamb is also playing blue steel.
Yep, blue steel.
I see Ruby Sapphire, Ruby Amethyst from Kindle.
Yep.
I think that's it.
And that's it. Yep, that's it for NA. And you go off what EU's playing.
Yeah, and then EU we have an Amethyst Steel, an Emerald Amethyst. So that's blue. That's yellow green. No, that's Artifacts. That's green purple.
Yep.
Then we have Amber Emerald, Ruby Sapphire, Amber Amethyst, Ruby Amethyst, but it's really different. It's an aggressive Ruby Amethyst. We have a cool Amber Sapphire list from Theo Time. Yeah. Maybe my favorite list on here. And then we have Amber Steel rounding it out with Frank Karsten.
Yep. Amber Steel songs.
Amber Steel, I think it's songs. Let me look.
I don't remember what Karsten's playing.
So songs, he's got 2 I'm Still Here, Let the Storm Rage On, Strength of Raging Fire, and then Along Came Zeus and A Whole New World. So yeah, just
song.
Steel song.
All right, so let's talk about some of these decks.
Okay.
You want to talk about blue yellow?
I mean, sure. Blue yellow is sort of my favorite one on here. It's something that I'll get out of the way. It's a pretty aggressive deck. A lot of the threats have ward. So you're playing the 2-mana Duke Weaselton, which is the 1/2 that quests for 2 that has ward. And it costs 2. So a lot of cards like that are really interesting. And then it sort of rounds out with like, you're wondering like a lot of these effects, why you're playing them. For example, you're playing a card I really love, which is the 4 ink Scrooge McDuck, the 5/5 uninkable that quests for 2.
But what is the most important card?
Probably Baymax, Armored Companion.
Nope. Oh. All right. The most important card in this blue-yellow deck is Alice.
The Savvy Sailor.
Yes.
So this is a 1/4 with ward for 3. Whenever this character quests, another character chosen of yours gets +1 ink and ward until the start of your next turn. Notably, this is a hero, so we're playing the 2-mana Ana that cares about heroes.
Yep. So this Alice is absolutely broken.
Yep.
And creates situations that are really tough for certain decks to deal with, like songs, like blue steel. And so in the first round, this person is playing against RMB, who's playing blue steel. And when that matchup was tested out, it was really bad for blue steel. And so this is a great opportunity to talk about blue steel.
Great.
And so as a person who always picks up blue steel, it was the first deck I built in set 1.
Yeah.
Blue steel.
That's crazy because R&B invented it. It's crazy that you picked it up at set 1.
Yes. And so I've always had a huge affinity for the deck. Yet I played it at 0 DLCs. Maybe before every single tournament, I was like, oh, it's time for blue steel.
And you pick it up every time, but you also put it down every time.
I have to put it down. I did end up playing it in one tournament, which was the first ever Stitch set championships.
Yes, I remember that.
And I did manage to top 4, but it was very grueling.
You hated it.
And I hated it because I knew my deck was bad.
I also top 4'd that tournament.
Jeremy did. And I lost to Kendall in top 4 in 3 games, but I felt like I shouldn't have won even 1 game because I felt the deck was just bad.
I also lost in the top 4, but then I sold my Stitch for $1,000.
Yeah, I sold it for a little less, $950.
That's still really good.
Which was really cool for a set championship to provides so much of value.
Yeah, that's interesting. After we talk about the metagame, I'm wondering about these promos because I saw the Continental promos and it's like Cusco in that. And it seems like Continentals to me is like the time to bring out the princesses, bring out like, people like Stitch, these heroes that really carry movies.
No, these Continental prizes are bomb.
Invite to the ball is bomb.
It is.
No.
It is.
No way.
No one else can get those. Can get those cards, and invite to the ball has potential of play, but I also think that the most important thing about this tournament is just getting qualified for Worlds, right? And it's just a stepping stone.
Sure. Anyway, we'll talk about that after this.
Yeah,
let's keep talking about this blue steel metagame.
Yeah, so blue steel is a deck I feel like is very good once it has a target. But if it doesn't have a target, then I think it's literally F tier deck.
You're pulled in a lot of directions when you're trying to build a blue steel deck.
Yeah, and one of the things I've disliked about it the most is like, let's say a random pile of garbage is what you're playing against. You have the least amount of capability of dealing with it because it needs specifically needs to deal with something specific,
Mm-hmm.
So if the threats are a little bit too big, you get a bunch of 1/4s, you end up just losing,
Yep.
So yeah, that stuff sucks. So basically, I would guess that blue yellow is gonna beat RMB.
It had a good matchup in testing. I love the deck. I love sort of like blue-yellow aggressive decks. For some reason, I always have. Even in set 1, the Don DeLozier, remember the Todd Anderson championship? That like the Don DeLozier deck that took it?
Mm-hmm.
I like that deck, and I played it. I think I top 8'd like a 1K or whatever with blue-yellow.
I don't remember.
It was at, I want to say Charlie's, and we were playing a 1K, and it got like maybe like downgraded or something. Like they were like, oh, you're actually only playing for this much. And we were like, oh, boo. And we like played it. And
when did we put together blue yellow?
I had a 3/6 Maleficent in my deck that cost 5.
I do remember this card.
It was set 1.
I just don't remember us leaving up anything other than amber steel and red purple.
I definitely played blue yellow because I also had this stupid Donald Duck that was a ward 5/3 for 4.
Okay, so how'd you finish?
I top 8'd.
Okay, and then you lost in the first round or top 8.
I think so, yeah.
All right, and then what was I doing? I must have been playing red purple.
I think you were playing red purple. I think you and that was the top 8 where you had a feature match that went on for so long that like everyone's still making fun of you for it at Charlie's, and you were against that Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Okay, they didn't downgrade that 1K.
No, they didn't.
It was me, James, and I think Ed and Kendall who top forward.
Sure.
Okay. All right, I remember that. Yep, I played against red purple in the mirror match, and my opponent was mad I didn't split.
Right.
Okay, that tournament. Okay, that was hilarious.
That was an interesting tournament.
Yeah, that was a very interesting situation. Yeah, basically, we had anonymous, like voting to see if we wanted to split the top 8.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna say what I ended up doing.
No. What do you mean?
I said no to the split.
It's like a year ago.
I didn't tell anybody that. And I'm playing against my opponent on a feature match, and my opponent keeps like whispering to me, "I know it was you. I know it was you." I was like, whoa! After like the 6th or 7th time, I just broke. I was just like, so what if it was me?
What if it was me? That's such a mafia movie coded. So what if I did it? So what? Oh yeah.
The other thing that we ended up finding out was there wasn't one person who no-sirred it. There were like 3 of us.
3, yeah. And you can pretty much figure, if Kendall was in that tournament, Ed was in that tournament, you can pretty much figure out who all it was.
Yeah. So it was one of those weird situations where my opponent was being really hostile because he felt like he deserved to go home after just splitting the money.
Right.
In that, it was a weird. It was weird because he was like playing improperly.
Mhm.
Like he would put his hand in his inkwell,
Yeah.
and then he left one card there, and we couldn't verify. And I'm like, what is even happening here? And he like starts just getting really angry with me. He's like, look me up on YouTube. Apparently, he was like a pro Yu-Gi-Oh player. And I just stood there quiet and I just beat him up. I just 2-0'd him, and then
Sometimes you got to let the cards talk.
yeah, I will say that he messaged me afterwards and was like I was completely out of hand and blah blah blah.
So he apologized.
He apologized.
Yeah, we don't need to name his name or anything. There's some guy, he got Demicky at Zan and then he apologized. It happens, I guess. It happens a lot to you.
Yeah, in that same tournament hall, one person just got up and started cussing at me.
Yeah.
That was insane. I like literally couldn't believe it. I thought that he would get DQ'd from the tournament.
No, for cussing at Zan, that's not against the rules.
Remember, this is set 1.
Yeah.
So
this is back when the real gamers were playing.
yeah, so people don't really know who I am. Or like
true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're all just starting off, right? So I'm like everybody.
Yeah.
And so I mean I still am like everybody. It's just more so like now if that were to happen, it would be more controversial.
It's set 1, so nobody knows who you are. There's also only one deck in the format, and it's like super complicated to play the mirror, and if you lose, it's totally your fault because you get to see your whole deck.
Yeah, that person was playing blue yellow.
Oh.
Yep, they were playing blue yellow, and I get the frustration because I think it was like our fourth time playing against each other, and every single time we're playing for top cut. And I beat him 4 times in a row.
You're his enemy. He has got to beat you.
Yeah, and of course we're like, we're playing for money, and so it was like I felt his pain, but at the same time, it was a weird situation where in game 1 he's winning, and he's like so nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, like I'm going on vacation, I'm going here with my girlfriend or wife or whatever, and I'm telling about, he's laughing. He beats me game 1. We're having a good time. I'm like, oh yeah, now I thought this guy didn't like me, but I guess we're friends.
I guess we're friends is crazy.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I'm just saying it's so funny that you went, I guess we're friends.
And so I beat him game 2. And we're in game 3. And I look at him and I told him, hey, we have 8 minutes on the clock or 6 minutes on the clock. No, we have 8 minutes on the clock. We got to play faster. And he's like, oh, let's just draw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we have 8 minutes. We can finish this.
I think it's like probably illegal to just be like, oh, let's just draw. Like,
no. And I was like, no, this is for top cut. Let's play. And we're playing. And basically he gets down to 1 card and like draws his card for turn. And he just goes in the tank. And I'm like, hey, you got to make a move. It's like 2 minutes go by. And I'm like, bro, like we're going to get to clock. And so I'm like, pause the match. It's the one and only time I had to do this in Lorcana. I went to the judge, which was Blaylock, and I was like, Blaylock, my opponent is slow rolling me. I told them that we have this much time on the clock. They have 1 card in hand, drew a card for turn. They're playing blue-yellow.
Right, so play it or don't. It's not complicated.
I think that they're trying to force the draw.
Right.
And so Blaylock comes over and looks at the board state, and he's like, I'm going to give you guys 2 extra minutes.
Okay.
And then I beat him.
Nice.
And then he gets up, and in my mind, I thought we were going to shake hands or something.
Yeah. He stood up to shake your hand.
He just starts yelling at me.
Right.
He's like, how could you call the judge on me for slow play?
Oh, yeah.
And then F-bomb, all this horrible stuff just unloads on me. And I am flabbergasted. I am.
He's not flabbergasted. I can't believe it.
I was like, and you know what the craziest part was? Nobody said anything.
Nah, nobody cares. Zan, it's not against the rules to stand up and cuss you out in Lorcana.
And so I stood there for probably 2-3 more minutes. And then I was like, I'm not going to say anything and I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything and I walked away.
Nice.
And then I remember one of my friends, local friends, walked up to me and said, why didn't you say anything? They were mad at you because you wouldn't respond to them. And I was like, what are you talking about? You can't say anything to someone who's just going to explode like that on you.
Like, Zan, why aren't you fixing this situation? A guy's yelling at you and there's a judge right there.
That person has some internal issues. But in that tournament, there was a lot of people that I knew and nobody said anything to that guy. Came back. I saw him. I had to play him again at least 3 more times, and I beat him all 3 times.
Yeah.
And that was deep. It was one time we went to a tournament after that, and we're playing in the I beat him in Swiss, and then I'm playing in top 8. It was one of the Stitch tournaments, and he's actively rooting for my opponent while I'm playing the match.
Nice.
He's just like, I hope Zan loses.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I can hear you and see everybody else is like, what? Why is this person so anti me?
Dang, Zan. This is before people know you at all. It's like, dang, this guy's got a hater. How do you get a hater so fast?
Yeah, I just want to say, if you see that happening to someone else, say something.
Oh, you want people to say something.
And if you're that person should not be allowed to play in the tournament. We can't just be here, just say hey, that person has some anger issues and we all have to tolerate it. No.
No.
No. That person does not belong in the community. All right? That person's got to go. And now that I have a microphone, I'm going to tell people that. Please don't let that happen. Because the part that I was not shocked about was that he yelled at me.
Yeah.
And said a bunch of stuff. And the part that was the response to it.
You know what's interesting is that guy seems to have calmed down a little bit, though. Now every time I see him, he's not freaking out.
Yeah, I've won a bunch of tournaments.
True.
So his response to me now is we're friends. It's we're back to game 1.
He won game 1. He's friendly as a bee.
Exactly, but that's not how the world works.
What do you mean? Yeah, it is. He's allowed to act this way. It's how the world's currently working.
I'm just saying that that person should have been DQ'd. Yeah. And the fact that the world is working this way is unacceptable. And I think that we need to do a better job keeping our tournaments, healthy. What if it wasn't me? What if it was a kid? Right? It could have also been another adult who has just as much anger as that person, and it could have escalated way more. A lot
of the times what happens is that they just fight.
Exactly, and I wouldn't.
Right. That's why you guys didn't have a fight.
Yes, I walked away.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. The onus shouldn't be on me. It should be up to judges. It should be up to the community to say, hey, that person doesn't belong here.
Yes, I agree.
All right, cool. Moving on.
So blue-yellow.
Terrible deck.
A lot of baggage for Zan. He doesn't like blue-yellow. It brings up bad memories.
The color combination has nothing to do with it. Let's break it down. All right. This blue-yellow deck is going to crush blue-steel.
Yeah.
But The reality of it is it has 0 ways to deal with a Diablo.
No, Diablo, just forget about it. Diablo is not good.
Number 2 is it can't deal with Diablo, but it also can't deal with any threat, like kind of ever.
Well, it's proactive. It has 4 mana Scrooge McDuck. It has Baymax. It's putting the threats into play.
So it has. So what you're telling me is that it has to be proactive, or it doesn't do anything. It has to be winning the race, otherwise it loses.
Yes.
So do you think that it's the fastest deck?
Well, Anna's pretty fast. I mean, this deck can definitely do work. It can put some stuff down. What deck would you say is faster?
I mean, let's just start off with green purple.
Green purple, one of the other really common ones. I mean, talk to me about green purple.
I mean, it's got what's the duck? Scrooge McDuck, which can you can slam a goat into it and then go it.
Ooh, true. Scrooge McDuck has a big butt, and big butt creatures are a liability these days because Go-Go Tamago is rampaging across the formats.
And so that deck has nothing it can do. It can't like bounce its own characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, what if you give your big butt character ward so Go-Go Tamago can't gain ward?
So you're saying like basically green purple has no capacity to get rid of an Alice?
Not for one turn.
Fox.
Help me, Fox.
And it's just a quicker deck.
Yeah.
Right? And it has more goats than there are Baymaxes. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, Baymax could take damage off of the Scrooge, but you would try to do it all in one turn.
Yeah, you hit the Scrooge for 4, you go it, then you hit the Scrooge for 1 and kill the Scrooge or whatever.
Exactly. So basically, I think that aggro decks have tiers, and the way you should be thinking about them is one that can deal with opponent's stuff while doing its own thing, and then ones that can't.
Right. And this one pretty much can't, except for just having the bigger guys, which sometimes it will.
Sometimes it will win, but the way, like, if you go into a tournament, you expect to play against, like, 3, 4, 5 different decks, and this deck just runs into decks that it can never, ever beat. Like, let's just say Amber Steel and Green Steel. If someone shifts a Diablo without Cove, without anything, or just blank plays a Diablo or an Ursula 3, they're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically going to have a million cards. You're hoping they brick on the top 20 of their deck to have cards that beat you, which is quite a hope.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask for.
It's a lot to ask for, yeah.
And then Amber Steel just, along came Zeus's all your stuff away.
Along came Zeus. Well, so let's get this wrapped up. So the most popular deck is Amber Steel, but there's kind of 2 ways to go with it. With Frank Carson, you have Steel Song. What's the other option?
Zach Bivens is also on Steel Song.
Yeah.
And then, what's his face? Brandon DeCandio is playing a more aggro build, which is a good deck. It seems really, really interesting. It's got Daisy Duck. It's got Lilo. It's got Piglet. It's a hyper aggro strategy, and it does satisfy the rule of an aggro deck that can deal with your opponent's stuff.
Yeah, the steel cards help you deal with your opponent's stuff.
Exactly. So I would give that's like an ideal aggro deck.
Yeah.
And then we have green purple as an aggro deck.
Green purple, probably the like aggro deck of the format, you would say.
Yes. And on that note, we can talk about my match against Artifacts.
So those of you that are watching this have almost certainly watched Syed's match against Artifacts in the European and North American cross-continental challenge. I'll say I watched it. I think that game 1 and 2 kind of went a little expectedly. You were crushing game 1, which was great to see.
I felt like I was crushing game 2 as well.
Yeah.
Until the goat was drawn.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really came down to that. Because if the goat wasn't drawn that turn, then I just win the game because I controlled the board.
It's very close. Was it 1920?
1920. Yeah.
Or maybe even virtual night. Like you could have quested a 19, but you just yeah.
Basically, I looked at the board and again they were at 16. If I draw a song, I win. And I bricked on the song. and then we go to game 3.
And then game 3, the beast combat heard round the world. A lot of people are saying you punted. Yeah. I guess my question to you is, do you think you punted? And in order to answer that, would you just tell the story of the game for people who maybe didn't see it or people who don't have clear memory of it? I'm kind of just going to let you go on this one.
Yeah, so I can break down what the board looks like. So the board right now is I have a Cove, Beast, and Anna. No, not Anna. Muse and Prince John. And the Beast and Muse is on the Cove, and the Muse has 3 damage on it.
Yep.
And the Beast has none. And so my opponent, all they have is a goat. They are currently at 11 lore, and I am currently at 0 lore. And so the decision here is, okay, like, what's in my hand? I have a beast and another beast, a Diablo, a Prince John, and I think another Muses.
But no songs.
No songs. And so my thought process in this situation is, okay, what do I quest with here? And like, how am I going to like finish this game? So I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, worst case scenario is they swing the goat into my beast if I quest with it, and they play a go-go. That puts them at 16.
Yeah,
right? They gain 1 off the goat and then 4 off the go-go. I know that they've inked a go-go on turn 1, so that makes that play less likely. I'm also playing a discard deck, so cards I should be drawing are like Hypnotize and Sudden Chills. I'm just not drawing those cards though, so I can't punish them for keeping cards in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So, but keeping cards in their hand is not great, since I am drawing a crap ton of cards off of Beast, and I have Prince John, and I just cast Hypnotize.
Right.
But I just kept bricking. So now I have to think, okay, how could I win this game, and how can I lose this game? So winning this game is, you have to think about the clock. And so since I have 0 lore, what's the fastest I could finish the game? So if I quest with the Beast and quest with the Muses, I can present a 3-turn clock, right? Quest, 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 quest.
With playing your beast in your hand.
I already had the Prince John in play.
Okay, sure.
And I played Hypnotize. So basically now you have to think about what's going on. And so if they swing the goat onto my beast and play a go-go, that will put them up to 16. That means that I end up not drawing anything for to deal with the go-go. That's cool. All right. So I'm like, okay, whatever. They go up to 16. That took them 4 ink to do that. And on top of it, they need to have a 1-drop to put them at 18 to make a second goat like end the game.
Yeah, lights out. The goat will put them to 19, and that's usually put a handshake.
Exactly. So I can't. I would be 1 turn short of finishing the game.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you have to think about. That's the worst case scenario that can happen. Now you have to think to yourself, okay, I played a Diablo on turn 2. I saw their entire hand. What's in their hand? There's no goat. There's no go-go, except for the one that they inked. So
Sure.
the thing that you're really trying to think about is like, okay, what am I really playing around here? You're playing around the top of the deck.
Yeah.
Right? Someone that's trying to draw 2 lottery tickets, or in this case 3 lottery tickets, right? The go-go, the Diablo, which was the 1-drop that needed to be there in order to accompany the go-go, and the other goat, right? And so in my situation, I'm like thinking, okay, I can either end the game in 3 turns or 5 turns by me not questing with the beast, that means my clock goes from a 3-turn clock to a 5-turn clock.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking like, okay, what is more likely they pull off this game? Is if I give them more turns or less turns? Because that beast is going to eventually have to quest. And that's going to be an issue. And I have a muses, and I would rather be trying to deal with the small things rather than the big things. And so, because we don't talk about Bruno in the yard. I have 3 of them.
Right, a lot in the yard. You mostly have your shocks and your strengths left.
Exactly. So now let's break it down real quick. With all this information, you have to figure out, okay, what is the most optimal thing to do? So if you don't quest with it and you end up waiting a turn, that means that the goat is going to go to virtually go to 13, right? It's going to quest, and if I then kill it the turn after, it will go to 13. So am I going to use the beast or the muses, right? So let's say I'm playing hardcore around it.
You trade off the muses.
I trade off the muses. That means my clock
got even smaller.
Just got even. It takes even longer to finish the game, right? And so now you have to think, okay, what could they play after that? They could play a white rose or a goat, which makes my situation even worse.
Yeah.
But
because then you do have to turn your beast sideways.
Yes, because they are now at 14.
They didn't gain the 4, but they're at 14.
Right, because their goat died to my muses, but my clock, I'm actually just only at 1. Because I only quested with that.
I'm actually just only at 1. Yeah, right? Yeah. No, this is great.
And so now you have to think about, okay, do I not quest with the beast again to play around Go-Go?
You never quest with beast for the rest of your life.
But I don't have any answers to the goat, right? I have strength still in my deck, but I have the least amount of answers possible for specifically goat and white rose. And so you start thinking to yourself, okay, now what do I do, right? Do I not swing with beast again? Okay, let's say I don't. And I start use my Prince John, my other Prince John, and the Diablo. I go up to 6. If they play another goat or a white rose or just even a fox and deal with it and pick up the goat, right? That I'm in a worse spot. They have the game just because I ended up not questing, right? And on the other side, I have a path to win the game in 3 turns. And on top of it, they have to have
the 1-drop.
The 1-drop.
Kind of the lucky money piece.
And the goat.
Yeah.
And the second goat, right? And so what you're thinking about is, how do I disrupt this plan? And it's 1 song, any song. Right? So it's like, I'm going to finish the game in 3 turns. 1 song, any song disrupts them from their god draw. So it's going to take a lot of lottery tickets for this person to beat me. And so that's the thought process there. But I knew as soon as the match ended that it ended in the worst way possible for me, because people weren't going to understand that.
Sure.
Right? And even you walked in, you're like, what did you do about why did you do it this way?
You said, what did you think of the match? And I said, let me be clear. Let me defend myself. I said I wasn't sure about when you turned the beast sideways. And then you said all that, and I was like, well, buddy, never mind, right? Like,
yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, it wasn't obvious to you.
No, it wasn't obvious to me.
Basically obvious to nobody except for Artabax.
Right, who's playing. Yeah, who's looking at his cards, so he knows.
So now let's talk about where I wouldn't turn the beast to play around the Go-Go. Is if the Go-Go went straight to 20.
Interesting, okay.
If Go-Go went straight to 20, I would not have turned.
If you're going to 15 or 16, it's almost not even that bad.
It's great.
Okay, it's great, actually.
They have their board is nothing.
Right. Good, even. So you don't think it was a punt?
Not even close.
The reaction from the community is that you punted. Where do you go from here?
Well, wait, why don't even frame it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think it's a punt?
No.
Okay. Why?
Well, if you play around Go-Go Tamago there, then you have like the only clock would be like whatever else you could put into play, and you're like banking on the top of your deck, like beating the top of their deck, but they have a lot of time to draw burn spells against you.
Exactly.
So that doesn't seem like a punt to me.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
So yeah, it was a unfortunate situation for me, but Artifacts played extremely well, and I mean, he deserves his flowers for winning that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that if people really want to learn, go watch that and try to put yourself in that exact spot and try not to play the game from hindsight.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if I knew about the Go-Go, like, let's say I know 100% that they have Go-Go, it's still, I think, is right to play it this way.
You can find it on Specimen's Twitch channel. You know what's interesting is I was watching that with my girlfriend's younger brother, and he was like, "Oh, I know that guy." I was like, "Zan? Yeah, you know Zan." He was like, "No. Specimen. I used to watch him speedrun. It was some funny game to speedrun. Oh, I forgot it. She was like, I used to watch him speedrun. I was like, oh, that's sick.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I went on his channel yesterday for the first time, and I was like, oh, he has a lot of followers. So I was like, oh, I wonder what his community was before.
He's a speedrun guy.
That's cool. What game was it?
I don't remember. I remember it was like funny when he told me. I laughed. It was like a newer Nintendo game or something.
Cool. Interesting.
It was like he was doing like Pikmin speedruns or whatever. It like wasn't like a Super Mario style speedrun.
Pikmin's a hard game.
It's a hard game.
Really like Pikmin 1. It's hard.
Okay. All right.
I was actually very surprised at how hard that game was.
Advocate. Oh, you talk about hard games. You see they're remaking Glover?
Oh, yeah. We're going to try that out.
You got to try it. Glover was the first game that I ever had, actually. When I was like, I think it was 4. They were like, Jeremy, we got you a Nintendo 64. It plays video games. And I was like, sweet. And they were like, there's only one. We only got you one game. We can only afford one game. Here it is. It's called Glover. And I was like, I love this little guy. And I swear, if like that's your first video game, it was like trying to learn calculus, basically, as like a 4-year-old. I was like, okay, so when you get on the ball, everything goes backwards, and you can change to 3 different balls. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of it. And it took me like 2 years to beat the tutorial.
Oh my God.
It was really hard. I couldn't read.
Yeah. You couldn't read at the time?
I couldn't read. I was 4, so I was just like really trying to just press the buttons and sort of like pinball wizard my way through it.
That's interesting. That reminds me of like Spyro.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have that experience with video games. The really young kid, sort of like pre-literacy, just like banging their head against the wall trying to beat a video game.
Yeah. Dude, that game for me probably has to be Final Fantasy X. It was like, my mom was like, okay, we're going to Toys R Us, and you can pick out whatever game you want. But it wasn't like we're going to Toys R Us for you. It was going to Toys R Us for my sister. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, do I not get anything?
Yeah.
And then she's like, you can get something. So I didn't have anything planned out because I didn't know this was going to happen.
Little kid in a toy store with no plan.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, planning with siblings is way harder.
Yeah, I was an only child, so my plan was always basically get like a Dragon Ball Z action figure, or if it's like a holiday, a video game.
Well, I just had gotten a PlayStation 2, but I didn't know what game. I didn't have like any games for the PS2.
Right, yeah.
And so I had to pick a game like in a very short amount of time just by looking at covers.
Oh,
and I went
bad way to do it.
And I went with Final Fantasy X.
Hey, you didn't do too bad.
I think I did great,
right.
But that game, like that game, amazing game. But the way I beat it, I don't know.
You don't feel good about it?
No, I felt great about it. Okay, well, 2 years ago they did like remastered it. So I went back and beat it.
Sure.
Like properly. The way I beat it before was I cheesed the game. Yeah. Basically, I couldn't beat the game. I sucked at it. And I was like, okay, what is like the most like broken thing a character can do? And there's a character named Riku that can throw money in order to deal damage.
Yeah. Great.
And so the final boss in the game is Sin, and it's like this giant whale character.
Final boss in any game, really.
The way I took down Sin was I basically calculated how much money I thought I would need in order to beat all the bosses.
Yeah.
And then I just I would all my characters would be dying, and then I'd bring out Rika and she'd just throw money.
Boom, hit him with the wallet.
And it was like 1 million damage. But the amount of grinding I had to do in order to just get that amount of money in the game was crazy. I like sold everything.
That's like how Ryan's trying to beat Lorcana. He's like, if my deck is all enchanteds and foils, and I'll just throw the wallet at him.
But this was all fake money.
Right, yeah, well, you know.
But
speaking of Ryan, we were opening cases of Lorcana for Ryan. And I was sorting the cases by like color or whatever. He had the 6 columns and then 6 columns for foils, and then like it was like super rares, legendaries, foil, legendaries. And I got to the green Stitch, and I was like, "What column do you want me to put this in?" He's like, "Green," and I'm like, "Are you sure? Because its collector number is 26, so it should be in with the amber cards." And he was like, "Why? Do you know why?"
626.
Because he's set 626. It's green Stitch. He's in set 626.
Wow.
He told me to put it in green.
Sag.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, you don't even care. But anyway, if you're on your Lorcana app, you can see that Stitch snuck in with all the amber cards, and now you know why.
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
You probably also knew why already.
No, I didn't.
Right, but I'm saying
that's
the
not my
viewer
stuff.
Probably also.
Oh yeah, the viewer probably knew, but me didn't notice. I just saw a green card. I was like, someone made a mistake.
Wow, somebody really messed up sorting these cards. It's like, Sam, why would you think? That's fine. Give him some credit, bro.
So I mean, Paris is coming around.
Paris is coming around. Do you want? I mean, I don't know how much we're keeping close to the chest or anything about Paris. I'm excited.
Yeah, we can talk about a little bit about the testing process.
You've been testing a lot. How much?
So much. So the thing that we should talk about is Lorcanito.
So there's a digital Lorcana client. This one's a little underground, so if you hear about it on this podcast, don't tell anybody else about it.
Yeah, just go play it.
Just go play it. It's called Lorcanito, like a small Lorcana in Spanish. Just Google it, get on there, start playing it. You like the client? You think it's moving smooth?
Well, the amount of improvement on the client is insane. So it's about to be insanely good, and it's on a web browser, so you don't have to download anything.
You don't have to download anything. You don't have to download the art separate and then upload it, and then you can get the cool graffiti versions of the art.
Yeah, we do miss Pixelborn, but I mean, this is what we got right now.
Yeah, and
it's got a ladder, Elo based ladder, which I am now number 1 on Lorcanito.
Oh wow, you hit number 1 on Lorcanito! Boo! Everybody boo! Oh great, good job, dude.
But yeah, basically my testing process is going really well. I will say, I was kind of bummed that I didn't play some of this new tech for
the cross continentals,
but we're just in a really weird position.
Yeah,
right, where we want to do well at tournaments, but there's not very many tournaments you can gain an edge by playing something different. Usually, in most circumstances, you can play something different, and no one's going to bat an eye. They're going to be like, that's bad. But we're right now in a position where people think our decks are good, which is a good thing for how you feel.
Yeah.
But bad thing for how the metagame ends up shaping up.
And the potential to show up to a tournament with... the potential to show up at a tournament and not have to play against yourself over and over and over again. I know that you've been feeling for a long time that, like, when you play a Lorcana tournament, it's like you played a Zan deck versus a Zan deck versus a Zan deck, and then you played not a Zan deck, so that round was easy. So you had 4 hard rounds and an easy one.
Yeah, and on top of it, like Seattle was a great example where every single opponent knew exactly what I was playing.
Right. And
Vegas was a tournament where nobody knew what I was playing.
You won Vegas... And you basically scrubbed out of Seattle.
I top 32.
You top 32, but I won the Sunday scrub out tournament, so really consider that.
I don't know. I wanted more money.
Yeah, but it's not about money.
While I was food poisoned.
If you're in it for money, you should just sell drugs.
I mean, one goes in terms of one also accounts for your elo in terms of your Lorcana ranking. worldwide.
The better Lorcana player between two people is always whoever does better in the Sunday scrub out tournaments. And if the other guy fails to qualify, which you qualify by not top 64, that's qualifying for the Sunday tournament. Then, they're not qualified. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, DLCs are extremely difficult. You got to get lucky.
You got to not freak out the night before and switch decks.
Yeah, and you got to keep a cool head.
You got to be cool. Hey, man, be cool. And I'm like calling Chris Anderson about what my blue-red list is going to look like tomorrow. You're like, hey, whoa, man, take it, cool it, brother. And I'm like, that's so funny to think about. Well, I think we better wrap it up.
Yeah. I feel like this is a good spot to end. Yeah. Again, go check out LORCANITO if you haven't. Jeremy, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at MoxJeremy. I think next time we're going to be doing Blue Sky Social. I think it's time to move over to Blue Sky. A lot of Lorcana players there, so I want to go where the people are.
What's Blue Sky?
Blue Sky is just a new social media app that people like. R&B has a Blue Sky.
That's wild.
I'm like Ariel, brother. I want to be where the people are.
I don't know anybody there.
So I'll do Blue Sky next. And then quick social life update on Zan. We got bachelor party this weekend. Next weekend, he's moving into the new place. And then January, he's getting married, Avett Brothers style.
And I'm also going to Paris.
Well, yeah, he's going to Paris in December. Go up to him, get him to sign your cards, get him to sign your Diablos, Enchanted Diablos.
Yeah, please come and talk to me. I am a decently friendly person.
Zer's weirding. He'll sign them all.
Cool. All right. Anyways, I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.